good afternoon. We interrupt your regular programming with breaking news out of Reeves County. Take a look at the site of the explosion just off of Highway 285, about 4 miles south of the New Mexico state line, northwest of Orla. It happened at the Ramsey plant owned by Western Gas Partners and operated by Anadarko. Plant officials say 200 people were on site during the explosion. As of right now, only 2 people suffered minor injuries. CBS 7's Sarah Strackhouse joins us live from the scene. Sarah, what are you seeing and hearing right now?
Right now, there are about 200 or more than 100 people on the side of the road. Now, take a closer look. Everyone has been evacuated from the area. Law enforcement says that it happened around 10 a.m. There are still many questions surrounding exactly what did happen. Eyewitnesses say that first they saw a fire and then they heard a loud boom. Now, we did speak to someone who is just miles down the road who said that his pickup truck actually rumbled and shook with him inside of it, and that's when he looked up and saw a number of different fires, lots of black smoke coming out. Now, we do have some facts. There are 2 minor injuries according to law enforcement. Thankfully, that was the extent of the injuries right now. Lots of law enforcement, state troopers, EMS is here. The ambulance just showed up. Everyone is here just trying to figure out exactly what happened, making sure everyone is all right. Now, 285 is closed to through traffic. They do have a detour as well. It is a Ramsey natural gas processing plant. It is operated by Anadarko, according to law enforcement. Now, make sure to stay with CBS 7. We'll continue to keep you updated. We're trying to find out exactly why the fire started and see the extent of all the damage that has been done. Reporting live in Orla, Sarah Strackhouse, CBS 7 News.
Sarah, thanks. The plumes of smoke were seen as far away as Midland, coming from the natural gas processing plant, raising concerns about health and safety. Chief Meteorologist Greg Morgan is in the studio looking into the impact on you and your family.
We want to talk about the latest with the smoke dispersion from this particular fire in Reeves County. Now, this explosion, if you've seen the video, you've seen the pictures, the smoke is going straight up into the air because the winds at the surface are light and variable. Once it gets up just a little bit into the air, the prevailing winds aloft begin to carry that plume of smoke downstream. So you can actually see the initial part of the explosion was over here. The smoke is being carried downstream out ahead of that, and it disperses as it does so. And so if this were going to happen, it happened on a day with calm and variable winds at the surface, and the prevailing winds aloft are carrying the smoke plume into areas that are largely uninhabited. So we're not talking about serious city populations directly in the path of this or in an area that could be harmed. Let me show you how this has looked over the last couple of hours here. As you can see, the smoke plume just slowly but surely dispersing from one location to the next here. You can see the smoke moving overhead. It's definitely something that you'll notice. But if you're looking at it in terms of a health effect, it's probably not going to be that big of a concern, as most of the smoke is going directly up into the atmosphere and then being dispersed. Let me show you where you can expect to see this, though. Let's head over to our map. Now, the explosion site itself is just west of the Red Bluff Reservoir, west of Highway 285. The prevailing winds are more south-southwest aloft here, and so that's going to take the smoke plume and carry it across portions of Loving County, Winkler County, the southeastern portions of Lee County, as well as Eddy County in New Mexico, and then move this. Eventually, I think folks in Odessa might see the smoke plume, but it's probably not going to move directly overhead. If it does, it's just going to clip us here. Parts of Andrews and Gaines County might see this as well. But again, by the time it arrives in these more populated areas, it'll largely be dispersed and in a loft away from the surface, so not a big health concern.
Greg, thanks. Anadarko Petroleum Corporation, the company that operates the plant, released the following statement to CBS 7. All of the approximately 200 people who were on the site at the Ramsey plant are accounted for, with 2 minor injuries reported at this time. All lines coming in and out of the plant have been isolated, and the fire is contained to one area of the plant. Now, due to this explosion, DPS says that Highway 285 is closed to northbound traffic and it detoured to County Road 652. In addition, New Mexico DPS has closed southbound traffic on Highway 285 just before the state line. DPS is also wanting to close County Roads 454, 449, and 452, and we will let you know as soon as that happens with any new developments. And again, now the company that operates this plant has closed all gas lines in and out of the plant, and they have isolated that blaze, and it rocked the whole entire area at the the explosion could be felt all the way in Carlsbad, which is a nearby town. This explosion rocked not only the remote area, but just like we said, it was felt in Carlsbad. We are sending it back out to Sarah Strackhouse, who is near where the explosion happened. Sarah, what can you tell us at this time?
Right now we're here with Mark Cage, the undersheriff for Eddy County. Can you tell us a little bit about what happened here behind you?
We had some type of an industrial accident with a fire. I don't have a whole lot of information right now. I know that we're just evacuating. We're assisting with the Texas law enforcement agencies and helping get people evacuated into Carlsbad.
Okay, and what about injuries? That's pretty much a big question that we've been asking. How is everyone that was there? I've
not been advised of any of the injuries. From what I'm hearing, we don't have that any life-threatening, but that's just what I'm hearing. I don't have any definite information on that. Okay, and do we know how the fire started yet? I don't. They're still investigating that. Okay, and can you tell me just quickly anything else that people might want to know if they're wondering, they have loved ones working out here? Well, 285 is closed right now. We're going to be getting everybody back with their loved ones as quick as we can, but we have a procedure we have to follow and get everybody accounted for. Absolutely. Okay. Thanks so much. Reporting live in Orla, Sarah Strackhouse, CBS 7 News.
Sarah, thank you so much. It is going to be a very long afternoon ahead for first responders.
Still investigating a gas plant explosion north of Orla that happened earlier today. CBS 7's Sarah Strackhouse breaks down what happened and why workers and families are breathing just a bit easier. Sarah?
After this explosion, loved ones should feel relieved. Sheriffs on site say they're shocked that only 2 walked away with minor injuries.
Big vibration and the smoke, it was way up there. I mean, way up there.
Miles away, oil field workers could hear, see,
I'm in a 1-ton truck and it shook it.
And feel the gas explosion at the Ramsey natural gas processing plant north of Orla, operated by Anadarko.
Well, it's a terrible thing. It's in the oil industry. Terrible,
but the hundreds evacuated from the scene have much to be thankful for.
We're so glad that nobody got hurt. I mean, I heard there were some minor injuries. On something like this, that's great, because they could have easily had some casualties.
Anadarko says in a statement that all 200 workers on site were accounted for and all gas lines have been isolated. More than 5 different law enforcement agencies worked together from Texas and New Mexico to put the fire out.
That involved fire, and we have some combustibles. It's a hazardous material scene.
And luckily, we worked together good with New Mexico, and luckily they were here since they're closer.
Reeves County Sheriff Art Granado says that OSHA as well as Anadarko and local law enforcement will be investigating to try to find out how the fire started. Anadarko says that they're so thankful for how law enforcement responded and took care of their employees, and they said that the fire is completely contained. Reporting live in Reeves County, Sarah Strackhouse, CBS 7 News.
Sarah, thanks. We have looked into public documents that are available online in reference to this processing plant. CBS 7's Matt Rist has more on recent violations issued by OSHA.
That's right. We've been looking closer at the Western Gas Partners, which owns the processing plant just outside Orla. According to OSHA records, there have been at least 2 different instances of inspection issues in the past. Back in July, there was an issue with first aid that they were cited for. There were also 4 other violations from an inspection back in February of 2015, violations which initially totaled over $26,000. Now, likely the company settled out for much lower than that with OSHA. Now, I want to tell you about 3 of those violations which were serious. While we're not able to give you specific details of the violations, the standard citation is for, quote, the process safety management of highly hazardous chemicals. Again, those violations came from a February 3rd, 2015 inspection. I'm in the newsroom. Matt Rist, CBS 7 News.
Thanks, Matt. The company who operates the plant has responded. An Anadarko representative said, quote, safety is our highest priority. The citations resulting from inspection were primarily related to process safety management. That all existed prior to our acquisition of the plant, and we were able to address and resolve them, end quote. Viewer video captures the Thursday explosion. First responders are amazed. Only 2 people walked away with minor injuries. The smoke from the fire could be seen all the way from Midland. Even today, a small fire burns at the site. Investigators are now working to find the cause of the explosion. We have team coverage on the scene. We start with Deanne, who is in Carlsbad, New Mexico, just outside Orla, where hundreds of workers were housed overnight. Deanne Lopez speaks exclusively with the workers who captured the explosion on camera. Deanne?
Lauren, Adon Nava was outside the gas plant working when the alarm sounded. Minutes later, he said he heard a loud boom. That's when he pulled out his cell phone and captured it all on video. You can hear the desperation in his voice as flames shot into the sky at the gas plant. Nava said it's a moment he will never forget.
I was just feeling like I wanted to run the fastest I can, and I was thinking of my family, you know.
Nava says he and the other men he was running with ran for about a mile until they got to a safe area. Anadarko said in a statement that all 200 workers on site were accounted for and all gas lines were isolated. Now, coming up tonight at 10, we speak with the owner of one of the local restaurants here in Carlsbad who helped to feed all 200 workers. Reporting live in Carlsbad, Deanne Lopez, CBS 7 News.
Deanne, thanks. Yesterday's explosion was so huge you could in fact see it from space. Check out this satellite imagery from the National Weather Service in Midland, 22,000 miles above the Earth. The satellite captured the smoke cloud from the gas plant explosion. This satellite loop shows the smoke cloud first appearing and spreading off to the east, becoming visible as far away as Midland and Odessa.
Sure.
Our team coverage continues tonight as a natural gas processing plant outside Orla continues to burn. First responders were thankful just 2 people suffered minor injuries after an explosion at the plant Thursday. Now federal investigators are working to determine what caused the blaze. CBS 7's Sarah Strackhouse spoke with safety officials at the site where security is heightened. Sarah?
Now, while the area has been evacuated, the fire is still going. You can still see black plumes of smoke. It is mostly contained, though. Videos and pictures continue to surface of the powerful explosion yesterday at the Ramsey processing plant.
So is the plant still closed right now?
Yes, it will be until, I would say, at least maybe 2 weeks until they do their investigation and everything.
Only 2 injuries, according to Anadarko officials who operate the plant. One was a heat flash with topical burns, and the other had stitches after falling, running away from the explosion. Reeves County Sheriff Art Granado says much of the quick response times in a remote location from law enforcement has to do with communications between Anadarko and the sheriff's office months ago.
They were just telling us more or less the ins and outs of the plan and what they were going to be doing, who would be responding, if we would be responding. I said anything in Reeves County, we will be there.
Questions still remain about how the fire started. Anadarko officials are still in the dark. They tell CBS 7 they can't, quote, fully access the extent of damage nor determine when operations will resume until it is safe for personnel to access the impacted area of the plant.
So the best thing to do is let the fumes burn themselves out. That way they won't spread and everybody be calling, you know, we smell gas, we smell gas.
In the meantime, cars, trucks, and personal effects will just have to wait for their owners to return. Anadarko investigators are on scene, and OSHA has confirmed that they are looking into this and do have 6 months to investigate. In Reeves County, Sarah Strackhouse, CBS 7 News.
Eyewitnesses captured the heart-pounding scene as hundreds run to safety.
The flame, it was real big. I just kept running. I don't want the fire to catch me.
Emergency officials thankful only 2 people were injured. 1 day later, and the fire still burns. We're live at the scene.
Even at this late hour, a small fire continues to burn at the Ramsey natural gas processing plant. Safety officials have closed off the immediate area around the Anadarko operated site. There is no word yet on when employees may go back to work as a federal investigation begins. Good evening, I'm Lauren Landman. Tonight we begin with continuing coverage from the explosion. Anadarko officials are letting the fire burn out naturally. The site now has 24-hour security. We know more more about the 2 people injured. According to Reeves County Sheriff Art Granado, 1 person has a flesh burn and another fell running from the explosion. Both are doing well. Granado said they are thankful that first responders recently met with Anadarko officials to come up with an emergency response plan.
Best thing to do is let the fumes burn themselves out. That way they won't spread.
According to OSHA officials, there is now an investigation underway into the explosion. The federal agency will have 6 months to investigate. Aiden Nava was just outside the gas plant working when an alarm sounded shortly after he said he heard a loud boom. That's when he said he began to run for his life. He pulled out his cell phone and captured it all. You can hear the desperation in his voice as flames shot into the sky at the gas plant. Nava said it's a moment he will never forget.
I was just feeling like I wanted to run the fastest I can, and I was thinking my family, you know.
Nava says he and the other men he was with ran for about a mile before they were in a safe area. Anadarko said in a statement all 200 workers on site were accounted for and all gas lines were isolated. In addition to only 2 minor injuries, there is another silver lining tonight. CBS 7's Deanne Lopez joins us live from Carlsbad, where one restaurant stepped up amidst the chaos. Deanne?
Lauren, when the manager of Lucy's restaurant got the call about the explosion just down the road from here, she was shocked, but quickly began preparing to feed the hundreds of displaced workers. Flames shot into the sky. Hundreds of workers ran for their lives. News of the blast rocked surrounding cities.
When something like this happens, we're really close. Everybody gets together and, helps.
Restaurant manager Lori Wright was scared when her son's company called, asking if her son was okay.
I called him right away, and he was telling me that he had just got in that night, and it happened in the morning.
Soon, Wright was asked by a local hospital to feed the 200 displaced workers. Her cooks got right on it.
They brought in a busload of all the employees to the Civic Center. So the staff from the hospital came and picked it up. But they ran out of food, so they came back for more. So we were glad to donate some more.
As flames continued to burn, Lucy's was just one of several local businesses in the area to step up and make sure the workers were taken care of.
Pretty impact on this little town. It's small, but everybody sticks together.
Lauren, this community is still reeling from what happened here. Gas plants like the one outside of Orla bring in a lot of business here. And as for the workers such as Lucy's son, they don't know when and if they'll be able to go back to work. They say that it's all just a waiting game right now. Reporting live in Carlsbad, Deanne Lopez, CBS 7 News.